I got to watch every Eala as well. She has made her debut here over the last couple of years, and she's won some matches here. Out of all the clay tournaments, this might be her best.
Karolína Plíšková pulls up the draw. Former world number 1. Two-time Grand Slam finalist. One of the most feared servers women's tennis has ever produced. She scrolls through the names and then she stops. Her eyes lock onto 2 words. Alex Eala. First round. Madrid. On clay. And if you could read her expression in that moment, it would tell you everything you need to know about what is coming. Because this is not just a tough draw. This is not just an inconvenient matchup. This is the kind of draw that makes a veteran player's stomach drop. Because the person waiting on the other side of the net is not just dangerous. She is dangerous in a way that is almost specifically designed to expose everything Plíšková needs to hide on this surface. Let me explain exactly why this first-round match might be the most significant story of the entire Madrid Open, and why, by the time you finish reading this, you will understand that the moment Plíšková saw Eala's name, a part of her already knew how this could end. Madrid is not just any tournament. The Mutual Madrid Open, running April 21st through May 3rd, is the biggest WTA 1000 clay event before Roland Garros. The field this year is stacked. Sabalenka, Rybakina, Swiatek, Goff, Paulini. The elite of women's tennis all assembled on the red dirt of Spain. But while the world is watching the top seeds navigate their sections, this first-round clash between Plíšková and Eala is generating a level of conversation that goes far beyond what a round 1 match normally produces. And the reason is not just about tennis. It is about everything surrounding this match. The history, the mentorship, the geography, the timing. Every single factor in this equation points in the same direction, and none of them point toward an easy afternoon for Karolína Plíšková. So let us start where this story actually begins, because to understand why Alex Eala is so dangerous in this specific moment, in this specific city, on this specific surface, you have to go back more than 7 years. Eala was 13 years old when she left the Philippines and arrived in Mallorca, Spain. Not for a visit. Not for a training camp. She moved there. She lived at the Rafa Nadal Academy and trained there every single day while other kids her age were still figuring out who they wanted to be. The Rafa Nadal Academy is not a tennis school in the traditional sense. It is an institution built on one foundational belief that there is no difference between a training session and a high-level match. The intensity is the same. The focus is the same. The demand for physical and mental excellence is identical whether the cameras are rolling or not. That philosophy, that relentless clay court mindset, was drilled into Eala before she was even 15 years old. She did not just learn how to play on clay. She learned how to think on clay, how to construct points on clay, how to suffer and grind and stay patient on clay. She absorbed it the way you absorb a language when you are immersed in it completely. It became instinct. And that is already a significant advantage walking into this match. But here is where the story shifts from interesting to genuinely extraordinary, because what has happened in the weeks leading up to this tournament is not something you see every day in professional tennis.
It was so special for me. Obviously, training with Rafa is something that people and young kids can only dream about. So it was such a pleasure to share the court with him. He gave me some tips on my forehand and a few other small advices. This is the first time I've ever hit with him in my life, and it's just a memory that will last.
Rafael Nadal personally trained with Alex Eala in the build-up to this clay season. Read that sentence again. The king of clay himself, the man who has won in Madrid 5 times, the man who has played on these exact courts and turned them into his personal stage, got on court with her. Not as a figurehead. Not as a symbolic gesture. He trained with her. He worked with her. And if you think that kind of preparation does not transfer, you have never watched what happens to a young player when someone of that caliber invests their time and attention into your development. It changes something. It sharpens something. It installs a level of belief that you simply cannot manufacture any other way. But it does not stop with Rafael. Tony Nadal, the coaching mind behind the vast majority of those 14 French Open titles, is now formally part of Eala's team. Tony was in her box during her stunning run at the 2025 Miami Open. He was on court with her in Mallorca during the clay court training camp held just weeks before this tournament began. Eala herself spoke about what it means to have Tony involved, saying it felt like something she could not have imagined even a few years ago, something that would have seemed completely unreal to a younger version of herself. The Nadal family's clay court wisdom, built over 2 decades of the most dominant surface performance this sport has ever witnessed, is flowing directly into how Alex Eala is approaching Madrid. 5 Madrid Open titles, 10 Rome titles, 11 Monte Carlo titles, a 14-0 record in French Open finals. That is the knowledge base that has been poured into this 20-year-old's preparation. That is what Plíšková is walking into. And beyond the Nadal connection, there is a factor that gets underestimated in these conversations but matters enormously at the elite level. Spain is Alex Eala's second home. She knows the feel of Spanish red clay in a way that only comes from years of repetition on it. She understands how the ball behaves at Madrid's altitude. She knows the rhythm that clay demands, that patience, that willingness to stay in a rally 3 shots longer than feels comfortable, because she has been living that style of tennis since she was a teenager. She trained alongside Aryna Sabalenka, the woman widely regarded as the best clay court player in women's tennis right now, just weeks before this tournament. When you are preparing for a clay swing by hitting with the top of the game on clay, you arrive at your first match in a completely different mental state than someone who has been grinding through a tough season trying to regain form. Which brings us to Plíšková. And let us be absolutely fair here, because fairness matters. Karolína Plíšková is a legend of this sport. A former world number 1. A Wimbledon finalist. A US Open finalist. One of the most complete and decorated players of her generation. Her serve alone has dismantled opponents who had no answer for it, and she has built a career that deserves nothing but respect. But in 2026, the reality of where she is right now has to be acknowledged honestly. She is competing in Madrid on a special ranking. She is not the dominant force she was at her peak. She is in the middle of a comeback, trying to prove she still belongs at this level, still has what it takes to compete with the best. And every player in that position needs the draw to offer them some kind of runway, some kind of manageable first round to find their footing, to build confidence, to remind themselves why they belong here. Instead, the draw handed her the most difficult possible first-round scenario. A 20-year-old in the form of her life, on clay, in Spain, trained by the Nadal family, playing in a city she has called home for years. Now think about what Plíšková's tactical options actually look like in this match. Her best chance, and it is a narrow one, is to be aggressive from the very first ball. Serve big, take the ball early, shorten the points, and end rallies before Eala can settle into her game. Because the moment points get long on clay, this match shifts completely. Eala's heavy topspin forehand becomes a weapon. Her footwork, refined over years of training in Mallorca, gives her the ability to recover and reset from positions that would put other players in trouble. Her capacity to construct points from deep in the court, to build pressure slowly and methodically, to stay disciplined even when the moment feels chaotic. All of that becomes more dangerous with every additional shot in a rally. Tony Nadal worked specifically on Eala's movement and ball feel during the pre-clay camp, and Eala confirmed they focused heavily on feeling the ball better and improving her movement patterns. She said she felt she was moving better than she had at any point in the previous year. Better movement. Nadal's tactical framework. Home conditions. A crowd that knows her story and may well treat her like one of their own. Every variable in this match is pointing the same direction. And there is one more layer to this that deserves to be said clearly. Motivation. Alex Eala is not just playing a first-round match in Madrid. She is playing for something larger than a single result. Madrid and Rome are her runway before Roland Garros. The French Open is the target. Every match between now and Paris is about building form, building confidence, building the kind of momentum that carries a player through a Grand Slam draw. She has already beaten a world number 2 at the 2025 Miami Open. She has proven she can compete with the very best on any surface, in any atmosphere, against any opponent. What she needs now, what would send the loudest possible signal to the rest of the draw, is a dominant win over a former world number 1 on Spanish clay, powered by Nadal's coaching, in Nadal's territory. Think about what that statement would mean heading into Paris. The student of the King of Clay, winning in the King's Kingdom, on the exact surface that King built his entire legacy on. That is not just a first-round result. That is a moment. That is the kind of win that changes how the rest of the tournament sees you, how the draw reacts to your name, how you walk onto court for the next match. Plíšková is not just an opponent in round one. She is an opportunity. And Alex Eala looks ready to take it. The prediction here is straightforward. Eala wins this in straight sets. She is on her surface, in her city, armed with the clay court knowledge of arguably the greatest player this sport has ever seen on dirt. Plíšková walked into a trap the moment this draw was made, and somewhere deep down, the second she saw Eala's name on that bracket, she knew it. That is the instant regret. That is the weight of a nightmare draw. And that is exactly why this first-round match is one of the most compelling stories the entire Madrid Open has to offer. A 20-year-old forged in Spain, sharpened by the Nadal family, hungry for the kind of statement win that announces to the world that she is not just a prospect anymore. She is the real thing. And she is just getting started.